What is going on, hockey fans? I just wanted to talk about hockey and the Sharks. Usually I do this at the mid-season point because I can't go in every game. Doing that whole game-by-game thing with the Sharks would be redundant. It would take a little too long, and plus I have work and other things that just catch up to it. So I can't see the Sharks games every game in and out. It's hard for me to do. And of course, the hardest part for me also is that because I've had a new job and I've moved, I'm pretty far from the Bay Area, let alone far from an NHL team. I live probably 4 hours away from the closest NHL team at this point. So, yeah, I'm a little bit far, if y'all didn't know that. So, it's hard when I'm out of state, out of the market, let alone just out of where NHL presence. I mean, even seeing an NHL fan in this area, it's a thing. It actually is a thing to see that. So, with that being said, the Sharks, they're in good standing. I've been somewhat impressed with how this streaky team has been. I was just kind of like, okay, this looks like a middle-of-the-road team when I entered the year, and I thought they might be mediocre. They'll be fighting for a playoff spot at the end of the year, but it's like, if they win a lot, I wouldn't be surprised, and if they lose a lot, I wouldn't be surprised. It just can go either way. Martin Jones has been all right. I will give some credit where credit is due. He's looked better than I thought. He makes those big saves. Kind of reminds me a little bit of Anthony Niemi in making the big saves when it matters. He's helped out with games. The scoring has been pretty good. That's usually been the Sharks' strength, is always scoring offensively, getting offensive-minded things. And I say the power play is actually near the top of the rankings. So, I give credit where credit's due. The power play has been better compared to the rest of the league. That being said, it can always be better. Sometimes I've seen a long 0 for drought, like an 0 for 17 or something that's happened here and there. But they've been better on the power play and probably more efficient than I've seen compared to other years. That being said, the defense is still flawed. Brendan Dillon has not been the pickup I was hoping for. I mean, it sounded good on paper. I mean, you get rid of an expendable player for another guy, but it hasn't worked out the way I was hoping for it to. I gotta say, the scoring depth is a lot better than in the past. When the other guys downstairs, I mean, talk about Tomas Hertl a little bit, not doing as much, or Velko Carlson. But I thought the depth, even just Joe Pavelski's been a consistent player, and he's the one all-star guy. Brent Burns, I'm still skeptical when he's playing defenseman, but he is providing offense. I'll give him that. He's providing the offense has been fine, and it's been streaky to say the least. But they could go and win 7 games in a row, and then they could lose another 5. It's just they're streaky and inconsistent. That's the big issue with the Sharks. You don't know which direction they can go. They're right now in second place, and it's good to know where they are at the All-Star break. But I'm still up in the air with this team. I don't know which direction they can go, and they're just right in the middle. And when you're mediocre or you get kind of skeptical of this team because Peter DeBoer, I already said it before, he's a coach that I wasn't really a fan of when they hired him. I could just see this all being a tease where they look good and then suddenly they have a collapse. Sorry to say, I think backward. I think a lot of backward, and I think about all the things of this team, and I don't like the defense. I already said before, the defense has given me a little bit of a headache at times. That being said, I'd rather be in this position than, say, where the Oilers are in the standings or where some of these other teams are in the bottom. So it's better than being, say, the Toronto Maple Leafs, who have an expensive Mike Babcock as head coach. At least we're not there. The Sharks are just right in the middle, and they don't have those contender or choke expectations right now. That's probably the best part about all this. But they have to make the playoffs. This isn't a team expected to make the postseason because they gave up a first-round pick for Martin Jones. So the best thing is they're motivated. They are motivated to win. None of this screw it, lie down. They have to play every game to win without because there's no motivation for tanking. No such thing. So, that being said, the Sharks, they look okay. They're on good standing right now, but it doesn't mean it could be that way at the end of the year. I do expect Doug Wilson to make a buying move. He usually likes to give up a pick for a player. That's usually how it is. So I hope he picks up a defenseman because that's where they need help. Defensively, there needs to be some fixes, and I'm always skeptical when they sign these enforcers and these guys that don't mean much. I remember last year that we had John Scott, which was our big pickup. I mean, hey, I heard he's an all-star, right? I heard there was reason buzz about that, but But then, of course, you're stuck with Mike Brown for 2 years. That was another failed failed signing. Everyone was mad over that signing for 2 years. They're stuck with him for the rest of this year. I wish we could get rid of him. Uh, and of course, even in the past, Adam Burrish, who they had to buy out. There were just these signings that don't make me happy. There's these mediocre bottom fringe signings. So I don't know which direction Doug Wilson is going to go, but I expect him to buy. It's like he has them right in the middle, and you want to be in contender status. Well, it's like he's not willing to rebuild completely. He wants to rebuild on the fly. I get it. The thing is, we're still stuck with Patrick Marleau and Joe Thornton. As great as they've been and all the things they've done with the team has to get younger. In the big picture, I wish we could trade them and get something, but we know that they have no trade clauses and all that, so we're stuck with them. Yeah, I'd rather just get compensation and build for the long term. This team needs to get younger, needs to be kind of, yeah, they're already rebuilding on the fly in some ways, but I'd rather see that full rebuild just so I know the direction they're headed, whether they're bad or not, and so on. But at least there's a direction, some direction in this team, guys, and they did all right when Logan Couture was injured. I gotta give him credit where credit's due. So, Joe Ward also been a pretty good pickup. I've been liking what I've seen from him. Yeah, I wish the guy like Rafi Torres wouldn't be so dumb to hit someone in the preseason and get suspended for so long of a year. But it is what it is. Yeah, the guys like him, unfortunately, as productive as he was in that postseason we got him, he hasn't done much since. So, yeah, that being said, Sharks, let me know what you all think. I've been pretty satisfied with this 25th year anniversary and how this team is looking, but it doesn't mean I'm going to be satisfied in April. This team could go any direction possible with how inconsistent they are. Now, I'm not worried about the whole first place in the Pacific Division and all that. The Kings can go ahead and do that, and hey, it is weird to say the LA Kings are having a good regular season. I don't think even Kings fans are used to this. So, that being said, the Sharks can also win on the road. They have a better road record than home record, so the goal really should be to get in. That home ice advantage thing I'm not scared of, and all that. Just get in the playoffs. The Central has been pretty loaded. The Pacific has been kind of meh, not near the bottom. There's been some teams that are mediocre, and some teams who've underachieved, like the Ducks. I mean, I expected more out of the Ducks, but they're off. They had a very slow start to the year, and now they're competitive, but they're not where they were expected to be. Other teams like the Coyotes have overachieved a little bit. The Canucks are right in the middle. I expected maybe a little bit more out of the Pacific than maybe some of these Central teams who are owning it. So we'll see. I think the Sharks, though, are on good standing. I would like to finish, second or third would be good in the Pacific, and I think that would build them nicely for the postseason. So see you guys later. Go Sharks, and let me know what y'all think.